So what works for me is kind of learning people's personalities, but also just being honest and being myself. If I'm open and honest and there's information I'm not 100% comfortable sharing, but we knew we were in a safe space and we were there to get to some real work on ourselves, on our finances. And once people see that you open up and you're comfortable, then it kind of gives them permission to do the same. I think what I noticed is when we read along with Dr. Stories and he told his personal stories, that people felt like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And if the co-facilitators can do it, I can do it. But we also, I think, took real care and time to let them know as often as possible, this is a safe space, nothing leaves this room. I'm sharing information with you, you're sharing information with me, it is safe, and we're here to grow. And they could see that more than anything else, it was positive influence, it was positive interaction. Once they took one little step and they didn't crumble, and they took another step and felt better about themselves and took another step, and you know what, they told somebody about the program, and that person said, oh, you know what, I'll be interested, can you tell me more? Then they kind of felt like oh, you know what, this is a good thing, I'm doing the right thing. And we did discuss that. We were afraid, we were scared to kind of clean house. One of the tenets is that you have to take stock of everything that you have, look through it all and address it. And it might have took us 1 or 2 classes to get through that, but we really did it, and it was a whew, when we were done and nobody died, and you can actually assess what your issues are and move forward. And I think that people knew in the community of our class, all right, there were maybe 20 of us, I got a group with me, they're gonna help me, they're gonna give me resources, I'm okay, I can do it. I think that made a big difference for a lot of the women. One thing that was an issue for me, being married and taxes and now a homeowner, is taxes in 2023 was a major surprise, major difference, was not expecting it. And IRS, you know, you get those things in the mail and you're like, oh no. If it's not a check, then you know they're looking for money. So I got a number that I was not happy with, but being in the program, for me, it was not overwhelming. I knew I could manage it. Pick up the phone, if it takes 3 hours, pick up the phone, make a plan, and just assess. And I called earlier than I normally call the IRS. I started a plan with them, and as long as I keep up with the plan and I know that those are the rules, that works for me, but I'm not carrying around that stress and I'm not dreading those envelopes when they come.
Being financially empowered is an individual process, right? But it will trickle down into your household, your individual household, and then ultimately into your community. I think it's great that we're beginning to have these conversations around financial empowerment, getting our finances in order, saving money, paying down debt, getting our wills and estates in order. I think that was really one of the goals of the program, right? To get you to talk about it individually, but also to take it back home to your family and ultimately bring it back out to your community, right? And I think for Black people in particular, for Black and brown people in particular, we don't necessarily talk about our finances. It's something that we're always, oh, it's nobody's business. We don't have our finances in order. When someone in our family dies, it becomes a GoFundMe. And so this program allows us to look at all of those issues and really assess what we have in order, what we need to get in order, and it's free, right? You don't have to pay anybody to do this. Nobody's soliciting you to join their programs, to sign up for anything on the back end. We have Prudential Financial, who's also involved, who's also providing services free of charge to the women. So I'm really excited about that trickle effect, right? For people to be able to do things as an individual. You took this course for 12 weeks, but then you're going to spread the news and the word about it to your family, who ultimately will spread it to the community.
What motivated me to join the Newark Women's Moving Forward movement was my children. So I have 2 young children, and before my children, I was pretty much just a single woman living life. And when they're here, it made me realize, okay, we gotta lock in, we need to have a plan because they deserve to live in wealth. Boy, did not have any idea of what I was doing. It really just shifted everything from a personal to spiritual standpoint. I mean, from the terms that we learn, right? I didn't realize that I was spending without being conscious of it. So just bringing my awareness to how I was spending money and just really feeling like I'm in control of my finances versus just living in the moment and not really knowing how I was going to handle my finances.
So for me, being a facilitator pushed me out of my comfort zone. I am more of the behind the scenes person, so that was pretty rewarding, getting to speak amongst a room of women and them giving me their grace while we go through this process, and also a sense of community that was built through it. My class is actually going to continue. It's a 12-week program, and we will continue for the next 6 months, meeting once a month just to check in with one another. So that was actually pretty rewarding. And we have a group chat that everybody talks in, pops in with events that they have going on or stuff that they want everybody to be aware of. So for us, we always started off a class asking everybody what was their high for the week, what did they think that their wins were, and getting a sense of what they achieved that week also set a good framework for how we should proceed throughout our lesson and tying it back to what we read and what the workbook had listed.
I think that if more people got this information earlier, it could change the entire dynamic because it would shift your mindset. I would go home and I was sharing financial information with my son, but literally after every course, I'm like, okay, look, today this is what we did. It was only for women, but he's younger, and if he gets the information younger than me, the point is to set him up, in a better position, move it forward. So I think that I know that the other women were sharing with their sisters, with their cousins, with their husbands, with their sons. It's really important because if we get a hold of it and we're the ones that manage the households in that way, a lot of times, it changes the entire trajectory.
I would love to see us continue this program outside of this first 1,000 women. I want to see half of the population of Newark, right, complete the program and begin to be financially empowered individually, for us to begin to think about our futures, think about our legacies in terms of what are we leaving our families, what are we able to accrue while we're here, to be able to pay down your debts, all of those bad deeds, and to move into the dividends and the prosperity and the deposits that we talked about in the deeds for yourself and for your family, because we need to start to think about what works best for us and how do we help better ourselves, which ultimately will help our communities.